I think one of the more interesting headlines going into Sunday is a struggling defensive front in the Detroit Lions versus a struggling offensive line that at times does do a decent job, but it is not the Dallas offensive line that we have known for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years now. Pascal back, Kaminsky back. There's an opportunity. And look, I could probably do this every week if I wanted to and pick out a matchup I like. But for me, this is the one I'm circling on the board and saying, if there was ever an opportunity to get after Dak Prescott, coming off an injury, his first game, his first reps, an offensive line that already struggles, a run game that you're not too concerned with, this is the day. And if we're honest, Aiden Hutchinson, I'm going to be spotlighting him today, or excuse me, Sunday too, because he will likely go from a 90-95% snap share to maybe 80-85%, and he'll be fresher. So I'm expecting a lot of things from this defensive front on Sunday. What do you think, Dion?
I like it, man. I like it, man. And, no, this is a team I don't think I've gotten to enough with their offensive line. But you're right. I mean, especially that left side, a lot of young dudes over there. Well, from center to left tackle, a lot of moving pieces. You're right. And getting Pascal back and Pascal and John Kaminsky, I think, are going to be huge. I don't know if it's the biggest impact, but I think it's gigantic. The Lions, you talk about pass rush, they have the lowest win rate in football right now. And Hutchinson has been really the only guy that's been winning at times. Not having Charles, it looks like this week. So the first thing I'd be curious is, do they go with John Kaminsky to start with Hutchinson and keep Aiden Hutchinson, on the weak side like they did last week with Austin Bryant? I think that would be kind of cool. But specifically for pass downs, because I know when you just take a look at some of these recent games without a guy like Kaminsky, and you see when they go empty, and our defensive line is okay, we got Hutchinson, and then the interior is Michael Brockers and Lee McNeil. It's that's not going to work. And there's just no push at all. It's just, you just look at it, that ain't it, man. We got literally nobody to throw out there. And it's been huge, right? I mean, Kaminsky was leading us in pressures, and that's what Pascal did in college. So I'm with you, and I really think our D-line has been pretty solid throughout the year against the run, specifically just winning their matchups one-on-one. And, yeah, I thought Washington, we came into that one and we said, hey, we probably have a better defensive line than their offensive line, and we obviously did, and we saw that game turned out. So, yeah, I mean, that's the battle for this one. If you want to help this pass defense, you got to stop the run.
More specifically, too, Dion, I mean, we talk about John Kaminsky, and listen, Kaminsky ain't J.J. Watt, all right? We're not talking about he's just – but it's about what he does for Aiden in terms of setting up different things. And you talked about it. Last time John Kaminsky played was against Washington. Aiden had 3 sacks in the first half. What does this mean, having Kaminsky, having Pascal? What does it mean for Aiden, and what are your expectations for the rookie this Sunday against the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think that's huge because – you're right. The thing was, first off, with Kaminsky is I think when they go to pass downs, like you said, he plays on the interior and he gives you some sort of pass rush. He wins one-on-ones. He was leading us in pressure and all the stunts and things like that he can do. But it comes back to the starting side for me. If they want to continue to try to get Hutchin more one-on-ones, like last week he had a really good tackle that he was facing against in New England. So that was difficult. But he did give some one-on-one opportunities, and there were some wins in there. It's just hey, they're getting ball super fast. But you take a look at having Kaminsky or Pascal, I would expect they go with Kaminsky because he's played more. But both of those guys have the body type to play that role, and it actually may be something that we can look forward to in the future. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to go way too far out here, with what Romeo's future is and stuff, but down the road, we could see a Pascal starting with Hutchinson, and that could be how they look to do their front four against a lot of teams. Then, of course, all the sub-package stuff. But, yeah, I think it's gigantic. The Lions just need another guy that can get pressure, and you're going to get one-on-one specifically in the inside, and they just haven't had guys that could win. It's just at that point right now.
Look, going into Sunday, this is a team that's lost 3 straight games. Confidence is low, right? You have people like me not happy at all with Dan Campbell, pissing off probably more than half the fan base. So, well, but Dion, you are coming off a bye week. You've had weeks to prepare. You know what Dallas does well. You know what they don't do well. Not only does this team have to cover, they have to play a certain way for me not to lose all hope in the given finale of a loss. And I'll tell you why. I'm not a fan of, the talent isn't enough, because I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't believe talent was a problem when they went toe-to-toe with Philly. I didn't see talent being an issue when they shut out Washington in the first half. Hell, I didn't see talent being the issue when they went toe-to-toe and stopped Minnesota for 3.5 quarters. I didn't see talent as an issue up until the Seattle game where you couldn't force Geno Smith to punt.
Right.
What is what is the conversation here, Dion? Are you 50-50 where, all right, there's blame to go everywhere, or are you maybe on my camp, who's a bit more aggressive on Dan Campbell, saying, look, coaching at the end of the day is all that matters. They got to be coached better. These decisions on fourth down are costing them, yada, yada, yada. I mean, where are you at in terms of this team's talent given their record?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I always do lean coaching, and I will here too, just because of the fact that it's like what you said. I mean, a lot of these teams, a lot of games are going to be close, and it's just who wins those close games. And a lot of stuff for us coaching-wise, it's a lot of things that you can point at. Where it's like, why did we make that decision? From Dan Campbell making decisions as a whole, as a game plan. There are some defensive things that I think are going to shift up this week. Because if we're talking about defense specifically, I think there's a huge issue. I think there is an issue right now at cornerback for us, and I think other games we've been able to hide it a little bit more based on who we've played. But I think you get a team like Seattle, for example, who gave us a lot of problems with two really good receivers, and the amount of resources we consistently threw to those two guys. And it was, if we didn't, we usually got beat. That was an issue, and I think that affected a lot of our game plan. So I do look at like the Jerry Jacobs or Will Harris if he's healthy, or giving Mike Hughes a shot at outside and say we got to figure out what we're doing there. Do we give Okudah the number 2 receiver and then have our number 2 cornerback play the one and give the one safety help and just say, Okudah, stop their number 2 receiver? I mean, we got to figure out something there. So I do look at the coaching side. I'm really excited to see if we get back to a little bit more of what we did last year. I mean, we're playing so much man coverage, and we look a little bit more vanilla than we did last season, which is probably some of the injuries, like specifically Kirby Joseph coming in. But I think after a bye week, seeing it and looking at last year, I think a little bit more of the zone. I mean, Ermanni can't play man right now, right? So do we try to adapt a little bit more to what we have? And I think he's done that. He's been able to play all these different things defensively. So I look at defensively, schematically, we're going to change some things. And then again, as we said, you just got to win. Like, hey, it's third down. You got to get some sort of pass rush, and no one's getting there. But offensively, to your point, it's like, okay, the offense has missed pieces. We'll see how they do without Chark, because against really good corners, that's going to be an issue. I don't think Dallas has that like New England did. New England's one of the best secondaries. But the offense has gotten it done for the most part this year, and they've had a lot of rotating doors. So I look at the coaching first, because there's one part of being bad, there's another part of you didn't force the team to punt, and that was Seattle, who scored 15 coming in, right? There's levels to it.